Welcome to episode 678 of FloWrestling Radio Live. I'm your host, Christian Piles, back in full effect. Ben Funky Askren is on the horn. He's in Wisconsin. The boys are in the studio in Austin. I'm still in Tokyo. I've been removed from the streets. I'm not there anymore. I made it back into the hotel room after being apprehended by the local and friendly police department. And we've had I think it's been our, maybe not the best day because Tamira won yesterday, but it's up there. It was a really fun, exciting day. Curious to check in with you guys and what your thoughts are. I have many of them.
Almost every match in 57 kg. Caught a bunch of 86 kg. Watched Helen. Where do you guys want to go first? Because we could talk about 57. David just killed everyone. We didn't even talk about him just dominating everything.
Well, we can talk about him and Yazdani and how we feel about that match.
That's going to be awesome.
That's what I want to talk about.
Go.
Andy and I just made a video, but let's discuss that a little bit because I'm sure we've all had a side eye on Yazdani this tournament, knowing that we would probably be having this exact conversation, right? That David Taylor and Yazdani would wrestle at some point. Was the expectation. If they were opposite, the expectation they would hit in the finals. And David is as dominant, as good as we've seen him. For me personally, watching Yazdani, I thought he looks good. He looks fine. He's going to be a tougher matchup. But, Nafanov's a guy that David's pinned before, turned him all around, and Nafanov really competed. Now, he's improved a lot.
I was about to say, in defense of Yazdani and Nafanov looked better than he ever has.
Yes, I would say that.
Yeah, I'm going to give some credit. I'll give a little bit of credit, a modicum of credit. Not that much. But I thought he had a really good game. I thought he had a really good game plan. I mean, he was getting moved all over, but he was able to not get caught up in the total tsunami of Yazdani, which drives people out of bounds and moves them over here and there. And I thought he had about as good a game plan as we've seen outside of David Taylor against this guy.
Do nothing? Nafanov didn't really do much, Christian. He just got his head bounced off the mat and got to like 2 leg attacks over the course of 6 minutes, and that was...
First, no, that's not how it went, in my opinion. In first period, yes, it was all about weathering the storm. Second period, he got to legs on several occasions.
2 or 3?
Just couldn't quite finish.
Definitely wasn't more than 2.
2 or 3. That's at this level, in most of the matches I'm seeing, guys that are getting in competitive matches, getting the legs 2 or 3 times is kind of like, I don't know,
good.
That's a very reasonable average amount. So I maybe you disagree, but I thought he looked pretty good.
Yeah,
and commendable.
Compare that to their match from 2019 Worlds, where Nafanov just couldn't handle the pressure, and ultimately it wilted him, and he got pinned in the first period. So, looking at the comparison of Yazdani and is he widening the gap, is he getting better, and not all that considerable amount. When you look at
that was my
that
thoughts.
matchup. So I think even his opening round match against Shapiev, where he was taken down, and it was like 2-2 at the break or something like that. So I look at the Yazdani and Taylor match, and I don't think Yazdani has made all these changes to his game or his conditioning that should scare us, right?
Well, what do you think about? I feel like Yazdani was maybe not using his underhook quite as much. I feel like maybe a couple years back it was just underhook, and it was more bicep collar, push, snap, bicep collar, push, snap.
Yes.
There was some underhook usage, but I felt like it was more bicep collar, and I wonder if that's something he's been working on, because obviously that's where David's going to want to wrestle, right? David's going to wrestle in that bicep collar tie range, and maybe Yazdani's been practicing for that specific matchup.
Maybe
that's possible.
Yeah.
I just rewatched the 2018 match, and I think if you had asked me before I had watched it again, I'd have said, yeah, in the beginning, Yazdani was moving around with underhooks, but it really wasn't. He didn't use them a lot on David in 2018 that I remember. There was the initial attack where David had the swing and a miss headlock, but other than that, he wasn't implementing it that much. So maybe that is an evolution in his game, that he's not abandoning it, but not using it quite as much as he used to. But I guess all I'm saying is I feel more confident than ever going into this match, right? Because going into the 2018 Worlds match, I wasn't sure. I thought David probably, but I was like, man, he was so close to getting cautioned out. All Yazdani, in my mind, it's like all Yazdani had to do was not completely gas out, and he would have won in 17. And then David just proved he wears this guy out. So I'm as confident as any match, and I think David's going to win, and it may be his most dominant performance.
Yeah, so when Yazdani got a takedown on Nafanov with like a minute and a half left in the match, he got into like quad pod, and it almost looked like Nafanov kind of just went down from quad pod, I think is what it was. And I was like, okay, this is where Taylor starts, or excuse me, Yazdani is going to pour it on. This is where he's going to kick it up and start feeling it. And Nafanov came back from a blood time, and he kind of kicked it up a notch. And I was like, oh, no, never mind. This is kind of where Nafanov's hanging in there. So I'm very confident in David Taylor going into this match.
Yeah, I'm also confident in Nafanov, but no, that's it. I'm impressed with both Yazdani and David. I'm leaning David. This is who I picked before the show or before the Olympics. Man, but these guys are, it's wild because if we go to 57, those matches from round one are all so competitive. At 86, it's not the case. I mean, you guys are talking about this one being, but it was 7-1. And, his first match was 6-0. David's got 3 techs. These guys are just so much better than the field. And then if we go to 57, it feels like since round one, there might have been 1 or 2 kind of blowouts, but there were so many that were down to the wire, super competitive. Obviously, the first one we're talking about is Gilman, Ugaev. Gilman had the lead with, I don't know, 4 seconds left, something like that. It wasn't long. And Ugaev there needs to be a punishment for fake injury times or failing to report to center. There really should be, because he did that. Sanayev did that a couple times. That should be something. I don't know what we're going to do. Is it a penalty point? I've
only seen one time where they cautioned somebody for it just being atrocious. But no, for the most part, you can do whatever. And as much time as you want. There's not even a time limit. There's blood time, but there's no injury time.
Well, they don't even start injury time, JD. They let them sit there a little bit.
Because there is no injury time.
Think about it. They wonder, okay, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Get your ass back to the center. This is crap.
In Sanayev's match with Takahashi, he took entry time, and they came out, and they taped up his knee, and he basically let them tape it up a bit, and then took it off and went back to the center.
Yeah.
How about that one where he totally grabbed that dude's singlet and he didn't get
That was Takahashi. Yes, Takahashi got screwed.
That was absurd.
This was crazy. So here, what happened was they called the step out, and they challenged it. Hold on. They challenged this. They called the step out. They challenged it because they wanted the singlet grab. Japan did. So they go and they look at it and they say, yeah, he grabbed the singlet, 1-point penalty. But that nullified the step out. So it went from 4-4 to 4-4, no difference. That was
I was wondering what happened because we obviously didn't have sound, and they got their challenge back. But for a second, they put 5-4 up on the board, and then they took it away 4-4. But they still had a challenge, so I was confused.
Well, and they ran an ad during that, so we didn't get to see what was going on.
The running of the ads is it's infuriating because they ran. I don't know about you guys. I got an ad when Gilman got the takedown and went to go up 5-4, and Ugaev sits on the ground for a second. Ad runs, and then now he's in on Gilman's legs. I'm like, oh my god, it was so annoying.
Tirapelli said the same thing. He had the same experience in that moment. So
frustrating.
That's the thing. But I guess while we're talking about 57, let's just talk about Heartbreak City. Man, I thought Gilman did actually wrestle a fantastic match. Probably the exact kind of match you have to wrestle to beat Ugaev. He had a really solid game plan for the attacks he was going to take, how he's going to approach the finish. But I saw some. I was sort of surprised about this, but I've seen enough, and maybe even from Ben Askren, wanting some extra points on the edge for Gilman on that exchange in the first.
How is it
I
not? He may have took one step out. And when I watched the replay, Gilman's foot is like in, and then he kind of like leans, goes knee over toe, and goes right into a roll. Why do you think that was only one? I mean, we've seen out of bounds scenarios when they go 25 feet out of bounds, right? So Gilman
was that anymore.
Since when? We watched 2 months ago. I mean, okay, I have not seen it at the Olympics. That's fair. But I also haven't seen a rule change or a rule emphasis. I have not seen that. I definitely saw things go way farther off the mat 2 weeks ago at Fargo. So, I mean, Gilman is maybe one step. If we rewatch the sequence, it's one step. Literally one step, and he's going into his roll. Worst case, it probably could have been a 2-point. If they don't want to give him the 4, it could have been a 2-point takedown. But, man, watch it again. It's one step. It's one step. His knee hits down, and he goes into it.
Very little surprises me anymore about international officiating. So I was not surprised to see 1 point up there, but in real time, I thought it should have been more. I have not gone back and since rewatched it to see, but in real time, I was confident in saying I thought it should be more.
Yeah, I mean, Christian, well, if you're saying they're calling it differently, which is it's fine, and you are right. I haven't seen anyone go way off the mats, and I commented on the octagonal stages that make him easier to push people off the mat, which almost happened in David Taylor's match, first one. Yeah. But what's the rule then? Like, is it one step? I mean, I said we should clearly define it and have at least one foot's got to be in or something to that effect, but there was not more than one step there.
Yeah, I just think there's fewer and fewer examples of guys getting that continuation in that scenario. I just don't think you see it. I think in 2016 was like the all-time high, most continuation I saw. You weren't even in takedown criteria, and they were like giving to I think even Helen had a takedown like that in 16. And I think it was just something they cleaned up a little bit, and now as I'm watching them, they just don't give the 2 there. And
so what's the rule or the emphasis? What have they said? Hey, this is what we're calling, because that's something that I haven't seen it announced or talked about anywhere.
So they'll allow you, if you have a standing single and you back the guy out of bounds and the foot hits fully out, they'll let you work to finish that. But in these other scenarios, I think that feels like the only one. And I don't know.
Yeah. So you're saying, obviously, if I have a single, he steps out, they'll let me keep wrestling for the takedown. That happens. But so I think it was because they were anticipating to go out of bounds because Gilman kind of had him up, and they were right on the edge for a second. But watch it again. Gilman takes like maybe one step out of bounds. It's definitely not 2 steps. Not 2 steps. It's one. His knee kind of goes down and he rolls. And if we compare that to some of the other scenarios when they've given multiple points on out of bounds stuff, I don't see how he can't get it. Unless they said this is how we're calling it, and I haven't seen that either.
Yeah.
No, I haven't either. And
I was just gonna say, I think the story, kind of looking back, is you look at Gilman, and I think he had 2 opportunities to score a takedown in the first, and he didn't. And so I think looking back, that's kind of where it's like, oh man, if he had converted there. But with all that said, he had the match in hand with 15 seconds to go. So I think you can look back and say, oh, he could have scored here, here, and here. But he did everything he needed to do, just except closing out the match. And then he almost got Metcalfed, right, in Aguila's second match.
Mm-hmm. I had Tagavi Metcalf pulled up ready to tweet it out like, hey, it's happened again. And let's talk about that final exchange in the Gilman match, because that was, it was gripping stuff. It was thrilling and as it was gut wrenching.
Yeah.
When off the attack, when you saw him in that exchange, in that Merkel position with the foot on the outside, how long can you hold and just squeeze in that position?
Well, so the foot wasn't on the outside at the beginning, right? And then that's where they knee battled, and Ugaev was eventually able to get the foot on the outside. And that's when it's like, oh shit, like this is this is going to be hard for him to hold on. Like, usually he's going to slip off the front there. But he appeared to have the grip he needed to have to hold on for as long as he needed to hold on for. Because if you can get underneath the jawline nice and tight, you can kind of hold on. And that was why Ugaev did that, back hurdler trip, and that was, what took him over with a couple seconds left. The one thing I was thinking there is, man, so often in freestyle, actually one of my contentions is stalemates are called too quickly. In that one, I really thought a stalemate was going to get called at some point. And, I'm not mad. I actually think they're called too quickly. But I really thought a stalemate could have been called in that scenario.
Was it Aguiev's next match where they called a stalemate very quick with short time?
What's that? What'd you say? I couldn't hear.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Aguiev's next match where he needed to score, and they called stalemate very quickly.
Yes, you're correct. Like 3 seconds when Abdulayev got him in the front headlock.
Yes.
Yes. Yep. Exactly.
I think in that scenario with, I don't know, I'm not sure when he got in the exact how much time was left when he got to the vertical position.
Oh, okay, got it.
So what I was gonna say was, I think at that point, if you stop it with 7 seconds to go, you're basically. That's such an advantage for Gilman that I think that's why they let it go. It's like, hey, figure out this from this position because I'll restart. Now, as I say that,
but
literally
that's
like
how you should be
later,
refereeing, right? Yeah, I mean, like, so obviously, if we picked who we want to win, Christian, and we said we want Ugaev to win,
no,
yeah, well, no, hear me out here.
Phrasing it right.
Okay, well, I'm going to phrase it the way I want to phrase it. If I want Ugaev to win, I'm going to let him wrestle in that scenario because it looks like he's going to possibly sneak out, right, against Gilman. In the next one, the clock started with 20 seconds left. He does something. He shoots in probably with 17 or seconds left. Abdulayev gets him in for a headlock and doesn't do anything. It gets stopped at 12 and a half seconds. So, I mean, he was literally there where, it looked like, okay, Ugaev's not going to make any progress here. So, in the previous match, when they let a situation play out for 20 to 30 seconds, and then the next match is literally, say, 3.5 seconds, that is like a distinctive difference. And you would say if I want someone to win, that's how I would referee it. Now, hey, listen, I don't know what the refs are doing, but that's definitely, if I wanted to get a winner, that's what I would do. I would say, okay, boom, give you a restart. Let's go. Give you another shot at this. Give him another shot, he wins.
All right, that's fair. I mean, I thought it was well officiated, personally.
I thought it was.
Abdulayev should have kept wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's what it's
the issue.
I think that's what it speaks to more is Aguiev's clearly working to try to finish, and we saw it in the same situation with Kayla Miracle yesterday, where she was in on a shot, and it was like 30 seconds they let it go for, whereas she kept working up, getting broken down. Where if she just stayed and not tried to do anything, they probably would have blown it dead. And so I don't think the officiating's been terrible so far. We certainly haven't seen another official hold down points, which is good so far. But I don't think it's been too bad. There's just been little things here and there where it's like, that's a little bit weird.
Well, on a general scale, I like when they let wrestlers wrestle through those positions at the end of the match instead of calling an absurdly quick stalemate unless it is obvious both wrestlers have submitted the position and are not moving. In the Gilman-Ugaev situation, it was clear that Ugaev was trying to work through it, and in Kayla's match, she was trying to work through it. But more than that, I wish it was called consistently. Like, it didn't seem like it was absurdly quick in the second Ugaev match that they called a stalemate, and it was not quite to the point yet where you literally see both wrestlers just like, we're done here.
Yeah. And Abdulayev, man, he was so gassed out when he got that takedown. I thought, Ugaev just kind of fell down on that last takedown. I thought that one's over, and that would have spelled the end for Gilman, unfortunately. So it's good that Ugaev won.
Like, that's why Ugaev and Russia as a whole is the best. They have these things in their back pocket. Yugev was so incredibly gassed. He knew
So gassed.
I'm not going to be able to blast through this guy on a double. You know what I'm going to do? An inside trip that takes little to no effort except for hopping in and perfectly tripping right behind him, and no effort on a finish, because he knows that and he can do it.
He looks so good in that. Some of it, his semi was great. His go behinds are ridiculous. I think he's gonna win. Oh, although man, Kumar Sanayev match was insane.
That was probably awesome.
Maybe the match of the tournament. I don't know.
Kumar,
it's up there for me.
Kumar's huge.
How big? Yeah, I was just gonna say,
Yes.
how big does Kumar look for 57? Oh my God.
We looked on the watch party.
He's gonna have a tough night tonight.
We looked on the watch party at a picture of him next to Bajrang, and they're like the same size.
Oh, it's so crazy.
Yeah, there can only be one.
So Helen's match, how do you guys feel? I mean, it's pretty rare where someone gets put on the shot clock twice in a row. And then obviously at the end, they ended up putting the Japanese girl on the shot clock, where they could have potentially went Japan, USA, Japan, and the same result would have happened. I just feel like it's rare. I didn't feel like it was unwarranted. I wish it would happen more frequently, where if one person was actually not doing the action, they put the same person on twice. But I didn't feel like Helen was that inactive where she deserved it twice in a row.
I mean, she got pushed all over the mat in the first period. Her ball was to the center for like a handful of seconds, I feel like. Now, she did a great job of circling on the edge, not getting pushed out, but the whole time Kawhi was moving forward, which you can say, yeah, that's not attacking, but Helen didn't take a shot either. And we know that's how it's officiated. We know if you control center and no points are being scored, the person who's controlling center is going to get the advantage.
I honestly
I had no problem with it.
I thought it was a very pro Helen whistle. I mean, she got. Did you see? There were two stalemate stoppages with Helen in the zone. She was standing in the zone, and they literally stopped it and brought him back to center. Like she is literally a foot from being out of bounds and giving up a sit, and they brought him back to center, and they did that twice. And they had her. There was another instance in the second period. I'm really surprised that there's. I don't think it's controversial, but there's some level of like, people just being a little upset with how it's officiated. I thought it was.
Well, here's what I'm saying. Yeah. Christian, I'm just saying, if you guys had a percent, Flo should have a percentage on this. Is how many times does the 30 seconds go one person then the other person, right? As opposed to how many times is it the same? I'm guessing it's like 95.5. I mean, it's a really big number. So I'm saying if it was more,
people aren't getting pushed around the mat that much without points being scored most of the time.
Yeah, I don't know. So I disagree. Sometimes I feel like it's like every single match they just go, whoever got it the first time, the other person gets it, regardless of what's happening in the action.
Yeah, that's a great point, Ben. I didn't think about the idea of, okay, you put one person on, then the other, and then you can put, if Japan were to go on the clock after Helen did, but then you put Helen on again, that is what you see more often. But I think, the way that the response that we're seeing on social media is from, obviously people who love Helen want to see her win. So there's all this emotion that's tied to it. And so my response to that is like, well, what if you were a Japan fan? You'd be screaming at the TV like, hey, she's backing up, she's fleeing, caution and one. If it were the other way around, we'd be perfectly fine with how things were called. And I don't mean to, sound like I don't like Helen or want her to win, but just trying to be objective.
I don't hate it. I'm just saying, like, I feel like because of the way it's almost always called, and this is where, I said this with the out of bounds with Gilman too. It's like, give us more concrete answers on how things are going to be called, because I swear that's called 95%, 5%.
Yeah,
and
right.
The Gilman, I swear they give them a step out, at least one step on the edge more frequently. Christian, he might be working with a communist because he's telling me I'm wrong.
No, it's Japan, so we're not communists.
I'm messing with.
I would say when Andy and I were sitting there as the second period was materializing, we both said she's going on the clock again. Like it was not. It just seemed like very obvious that was going to happen. Let's talk about the match also. I know there's not unfortunately there's not a lot to discuss because there were no real points scored. But I felt like in the second period, I felt like really the entire match, Helen was trying to score and just was so stifled, and she
couldn't get past Kawhi's head.
What looked like really nice sweeps, and Kawhi was just set up for it, was able to just kind of down block. And then in the second period, I really thought she would get to the.
Uh-oh. Starting to lose you a little bit.
Very choppy.
I really thought she was going to get to a leg at some point, get to it one time, and it just never happened. And not for lack of, she wasn't like sitting and waiting to pick her spot. She was firing, but nothing. She oh no. Well, I'll just go. Anyways, because I've been having a hard time too. But go you tomorrow. Enjoy.
Hey, that's a good time for me to go too, because I gotta run to camp. Christian, good talking to you. Have fun over there, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Cool.
Yeah, sounds good.
Oh, he froze. He's done. All right, see ya.
Nope, he's out. All right, just our show now.
Yeah.
Do whatever the hell we want now.
We're the captains now.
Look at us. Yeah. We're the captains now.
Yeah.
I thought the match was officiated fine. To Ben's point, yes, it normally goes one person then the other, but I thought I had no problem with it being like this.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think we do need to talk about how good Helen looked in her first two matches.
No, she looked great.
And how much of an improvement that was and what that speaks to, for her.
Yeah, she literally just was like on a revenge tour, her first two matches. And, I had my doubts kind of coming in with how she looked in her last competition at Olympic trials. But I think we saw as good of Helen as we've seen. And to go through everything that she's gone through since this quad, getting injured, dealing with that concussion, contemplating retirement, just to be as good as she is. And now, she'll be wrestling for a medal.
Yeah.
And
she'll be favored in
winning bronze is an accomplishment.
Right. And she should win. Should be a tough go, but I really see her as the favorite, and whoever she meets in the bronze medal match, it'll be between Guinea and Mongolia, which Kawhi kind of handled both of those opponents.
Look, Kawhi's won 4 straight championships. She won Rio 17, 18, 19. Like, she's a legend.
She's up, pound for pound up there right now. So what Helen was able to do is really, really amazing, and it kind of stinks that the loss takes away from how good she's looked. But I think, you said we kind of doubted her. I think really everybody, rightfully so, was like, I don't know how high should our expectations be coming off of Poland. But, now it looks like she's going to come away with Olympic bronze, and wish it could have been gold. But I think we can be pretty happy with bronze, and I think Helen will be pretty happy with it too.
Where does that put, what does that make the team race look like? I know Japan is unsurprisingly in the lead after actually a first rough 2 days for them, kind of,
we
per their standards.
I think we have the graphic. We can get that on the screen here for you. So Japan takes their first lead of the tournament after 4 days, 3.5.
Look, we knew this coming in though. It was like it was a relay race, like a 4x100, where Japan had their slow runners first, but then the best in the world going on the final 2 second, third leg.
So we needed to build our lead, because we knew they were going to kind of chase us down, and we're already seeing that happen. But it's not out of the question for USA to come back and win. We have Sarah Hildebrandt and Jakara Winchester remaining, who they can score some points, and then also Helen can score 5 more points, and Kawhi can score 5 more points. But Japan really has some hammers, and Yui Sasaki and Mokaida remaining. So there's not any margin for error. We
Jakara, tough draw.
Yeah, we need Jakara to win. We need Sarah to win, score some points too, and they're going to be up against it. Maybe that's a good little segue into the draws for tomorrow or tonight that we're going to see go down with Jakara and with Kyle Dake and with Gable Stevenson, because there's a lot to talk about there in those draws.
Yeah, let's talk about Jakara's draw first.
Yeah, let's give him something to talk about.
And she did not get a favorable draw. She's going to have 2-time world bronze medalist Pang from China right off of the bat. Yeah, there's that bracket if you want to pull that up. Oh, excuse me, no. She'll have Pang in if she wins.
If she wins, yeah.
Yeah. She'll have another bronze medalist from Russia right off the bat.
Yeah, and so you look at her side, and it's really tough. And what we look at here, obviously, her first 2 rounds against former world bronze medalists, winnable matches, but they're gonna be tough. Jakara, world champion, but it is at 55 kilograms, so a little bit, or not
53.
Quite, or 50. Yeah, this is 53, but she won at 55, so that wasn't as deep of a weight. And really, what I'm looking forward to is her semi, either Vinesh or Matson from Sweden, and that is like a marquee matchup, round 1. Either of those ladies could win the whole tournament, and are really tough matchups for Jakara. Jakara lost to Matson in January, and so what makes this draw really hard is not only her first 2 matches, which will be tough, but her semi. If she loses that means then either Vinesh or Matson is coming back through to wrestle for bronze. So I think it's just a good strategy just to win, right? Just to win and make the finals here. But tough draw. She could have got an easier draw for sure.
Yeah, but then it's Mokaida in the finals.
Yeah.
Most likely.
Yeah, and Mokaida kind of gets the easy draw on that other side there. Not a whole lot of depth, and you kind of expect her to walk her way through to the finals. And when we're talking team race, not a great sign for gaining ground on Japan. But we did see Dekoroye get pinned after she was up by a whole bunch. So these upsets can happen, and we'll see kind of how it all plays out at 53.
And Mokaida isn't one of the untouchable Japanese women, or hasn't been in the past. She's taken silver a couple times, including 2019. So she, she's not one of these legends like Helen has ran into in 2016, and then this year. So it is possible. There's hope. But if Jakara even makes it to the final, or wins a medal, it's very impressive.
Yes, she's got to work it out for her. She can do it, but it's like we're beginning to see how close the margins are at the Olympics, and realize with how great our wrestlers are with Gilman and Maroulis, going down. The world's still really good. So it's like we are reminded of that. But I think 74 and 125 draws are really interesting to talk about. Dake gets Hossein Khani from Iran first round, and then he'll get the winner of Kadzi Magomedev and Garzon from Cuba in the quarters, and he's also on the same side as Chimizo.
And then it would be him and Chimizo most likely in the semi. To be honest, this is kind of what we expected from 74. No real surprises. It's good. It's good for Dake. I mean, could have been a little bit better, I guess, but it's fine. It's Kyle Dake,
Yeah. Yeah, I think a few interesting things that you look at. Hosenkani had a really close match with Jordan Burroughs 2018. Hosenkani's world bronze from 2016. So, game opponent. And then Kaji Magomedev is the only competitor in the field with a win over Sidakov. And that was back when he was representing Russia at 2017 Russian Nationals. So you can go to the preview, 74 kg preview. You can click on those matches. You can watch them.
This was 4 years ago.
Yeah, 4 years ago.
Sidakov ever beating Burroughs.
Pre-peak Sidakov.
Right.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't put too much stock. You can look into it, but don't put too much stock in that, or don't let that worry you too much.
Yeah, and Sidakov sitting over there on the other side with just like wonderful draw.
Yeah.
Shouldn't really be in any matches that are in question.
No.
Yeah, his second match might be interesting, but kind of expect him to roll. And then Gable got his draw, and we're looking at Gable Akul round 2.
Yeah, but with random draw and Gable randomly getting drawn in, to be honest, I don't hate Gable's draw at all. Zare and Geno on the other side, I like that. I like that a lot. And
yeah,
give Gable Taha on his side to get those two on the other side.
Oh, 100%. It could have been worse. He could have been drawn in with Zare and Akul on his side and going through.
Could be worse. You could be Amir Desi.
Yeah.
Get Akul first round, then Gable if you win.
yeah, it could be way worse. So we knew he was going to have to go through Akul or Petrashvili or Zare, multiple, of those guys to win gold. And so it's like, all right, this is the task, and we're going to see where he's at. And I think the matchup with Akul is super interesting. I think they're both really athletic. They both kind of their strengths are reattacks, and so it'll be interesting to see who can get their own offense going. I don't see Akul scoring on reattacks against Gable. I don't think his speed is at the same level, but I guess we'll find out, right?
Yeah, we've talked about it before where Geno might be a little bit better matchup because sometimes he tends to shoot a little bit more, and Gable's strong suit is reattacks and freaking heavy snaps are his main offense. But you feel good about Gable's draw. The Belarusian dude isn't too bad on in that bottom Gable's corner. That's probably who will make it out of the bottom quarter. Yeah, most likely.
I think so. He's got wins over Kotsianovitsky, who's a past world medalist. He beat Russia's kind of their first rep, who won Russian nationals back in like last Russian nationals in 2020. Sharipov. So Kramenkow is very, very solid. Lost to Petrashvili only like 12-9. So he should be the semifinal opponent. But whoever comes out of that Akul Gable quarter should be the favorite over.
You know who got the worst draw was Kazirev. Kazirev with Deng very first round, then Petrashvili second round, and then probably Zare in the semifinals, and then most likely the winner of Gable and Taha.
That's a great point. If Gable was in
that's death bracket for Kazirev.
If that was where Gable was, I'd be like, oh gosh, this is terrible. But Kozirev, Akul was a really bad matchup for Kozirev, so I'm interested to see how he goes against guys like Deng and Petrashvili, because Kozirev, he lost to Kirkflate at 2018 Cadet World, so he was a cadet just a couple years ago.
Yeah, he's young.
He's really young.
This bracket as a whole is kind of the young guys versus the veterans who have been on the block for winning for a quad, and get on Taha but then Kazirev, Zare, and Gable being the young bloods coming up.
Right. So yeah, I don't know anything else. I mean, we could look at team scores for men's. It's really like there's five teams with points. I mean, we can talk about it real quickly.
Yeah, we can mention it.
Throw it up there. India with a finalist and someone going for bronze, and Iran and Russia in the same situation. So they all have 30, and then USA just with one finalist. So we could catch the top. We could, like, right now it's just like keeping pace with Russia. So we could keep pace with them through the first first day, and we should come out with a couple medals.
How do you feel about Gilman coming back for bronze?
Yeah, we didn't talk about that yet. Capable, but 2 really hard matches. We saw how good Abdullayev is. I think that's the bronze medal match.
They equally pushed Uguev.
Right.
So it's like you see Gilman do that to Uguev, and you're like, wow, I feel really good about him coming back for bronze. And then you watch Abdullayev do that, and it's like, dang, is this Abdullayev pushing it, or is this Uguev? How much of that was Gilman pushing Uguev? How much is that Uguev not being, maybe us hyping him up, put him on a pedestal too much, or is it how much of that is Abdullayev being very good? And I think it's a little bit of a combination of all three. But yeah, it really sucks that has to be his first match back in repechage to even make it to the bronze medal match.
Yeah, but here's something that I think is interesting. And like, so just a month ago or 6 weeks ago at the Poland Open, Abdullayev, Sanayev, Atri, and Atli were all up. I'm sorry, not Atli. Kumar were all up at 61 kilograms. And so you look at that and you say, okay, is that something to do with how much they're cutting? They want to get, just
absolutely how much they're cutting. They don't want to make 57.
How much they're cutting. So Gilman getting him right off the bat, right? Like first match again. We like the way that we feel about how Gilman handles
it. Scratch day 2. It's still I think scratch. Yeah,
day 2 scratch. So I feel good about that. Abdullayev, and they have similar styles in that they're not super dynamic wrestlers. Their offensive attacks are solid, but their pace is really what sets them apart. And so, I mean, I like Gilman to match anyone's pace.
No, for sure. Gilman's not going to get tired
worldwide. So I feel good. I feel good about Gilman, especially there are questions surrounding his injuries, how he was going to respond, and I think he looks the best he's ever looked. So I feel good about it, and a lot's on the line too. If he medals, he gets to go to Worlds. So
yeah, doesn't have to wrestle Spencer, Soriano, Dayton. That's actually huge. And then if he can get a medal there, he doesn't have. He gets the winner of those for the next time. It's huge. It's the whole Kyle Dake, Jordan Barrows thing. I actually hadn't thought about that. That is huge. David Taylor secured a medal, so assuming he goes, he won't even have to wrestle anybody.
Yep.
What do you think? How do you feel about Ravi Uguev?
Yeah, I think Ravi Kumar, and I keep coming back to this. I think he's gonna look so huge next to Uguev. Like we saw Uguev, he's like, man, he doesn't really have that much size or height. But as far as the matchup goes, and then even how tired Uguev looks, Kumar's pace, if you're not familiar, I know a lot of people are familiar with Bajrang, very similar.
Yeah.
It's like, man, he just comes at you, doesn't give you any like room to rest or get your offense.
Which, so as we saw, could spell trouble for Uguev.
Yeah. So we were rooting for Uguev up to the finals, and now it's like, all right, Team Ravi.
It's like you're saying this, and it's like you're setting it up, but then at the same time, it's like, yeah, but Uguev won those matches still somehow.
Exactly. Yeah.
Can you do it again? You play with fire, you get burned sometimes.
Yeah, and India's never had an Olympic gold medalist. Sushil Kumar was their first Olympic medalist, and then he won world gold, but never an Olympic gold. So Kumar's looking to be the first there. And I'm not sure if they have wrestled in the past. So they wrestled at 2019 Worlds, and Uguev won 6-4. So even there, really close match, and that was 2 years ago. So you like the way Kumar looks, and Uguev, man, he just leaves you with.
So now, if you don't want to root for Russia and for Uguev, you don't have to, because Gilman's pulled back in.
Yeah.
So
And I don't want to. I'm not going to. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
all right. Anything else? I think we.
Yeah, I don't know. Miles Mingo, he's pulled back in.
Yeah.
We can root for him now. Unfortunately, Micic
is out.
is eliminated.
He didn't look himself. I don't know if it was weight cut. He did take a shot to the head pretty early on a headbutt. I don't know if that affected him, if it was combination or what, but he didn't look like normal Micic.
Yeah, I heard. I read some comments that John Smith was roasting Micic on his weight cut on the broadcast, but I even heard him in some interviews leading up to the Olympics where that was his weight was one of the things he thought about when the Olympics was postponed. He's like, no,
I have to hold this for another year.
I have to hold this for a whole another year. And so it's like, it's a poll. And
he's huge.
And Takahashi is like, it's really good. So I don't know. It's maybe you look at him and say he's probably going up.
Takahashi I already mentioned it, but I want to just say it again because he was my pick for silver, and now I'm pissed. But he got screwed in the quarterfinals, and then Ravi went and won, which is great. But that meant Takahashi was eliminated.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Anything else?
No. I think that'll probably do it. Let's wrap things up. Let's get some sleep.
Yeah.
We've been up in here for a long time.
This is where we live now.
Yep, this is pretty much where we live. And it's hilarious now because breakfast tacos should be arriving here.
Breakfast tacos are here. We'll be back though tonight.
Dinner tacos
morning.
for us.
Yeah, dinner tacos. Olympic watch party. If you haven't joined us, it's a lot of fun. Gets a little weird, but
yeah,
love to have you.
Same time again tomorrow, 9 p.m. Central Time is when action kind of gets starting back up with some what starts it off?
Repechage. Gilman's going to be right
Yep.
away. Repechage at 57, both styles, and 86, and then we move into 74, 125 at night.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
We finally get to find out just how good Gable really is.
The world going to see.
All right. Well, I think that'll do it for us. For John Kozak, myself, all of you at home, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching the Olympic Watch Party. Thank you for watching the Olympics. Go Team USA.